Vince McMahon's hostile takeover of the WWE has begun. We thought Vince had gone off to the retirement home. He was sitting in his recliner, knitting, watching some Monday Night Football, maybe a little bit of Monday Night Raw, bitching about Johnny Gargano on his TV, and Austin Theory getting the name Austin back, and all of this stuff. I'm sure Vince was just having an aneurysm, but what else? We spotted out to dinner with some bitch that he's probably going to get an accusation from in a couple of months. All of this to say, we thought Vince was gone. But Vince McMahon does the most Vince McMahonian thing that he's ever done in his life, and he has come back and hostily taken over the WWE. I could sit here and give you the details myself, but my man Jon Alba put together he explains it much better than I would. And I'm going to direct you to the Strictly Business podcast. He did a little bonus edition podcast with Eric Bischoff where they talked about this in depth. And I will do that as well. But just to kind of give you the gist of what's going on, check out this clip from Jon Alba on the Strictly Business podcast with Eric Bischoff. And then we'll catch you on the back end, and I'm going to give you my thoughts.
And on December 20th, Vince McMahon sent a letter to the WWE Board of Directors indicating that he wanted to come back as executive chairman of the board. Keep in mind, he retired this past summer as these allegations into improper spending of company funds into hush payments with different women forced him into retirement. And in this letter, he says, quote, "Now that the completion of the special committee investigation has been publicly disclosed, I believe WWE has a unique opportunity during this critical juncture to maximize value for its shareholders and other stakeholders." And what he's referring to by that is with the upcoming media rights deals expiring and potentially a sale looming, he believes he should be in charge. And he says, quote, "Moreover, any party that engages in strategic discussions with WWE will want to be assured that I, as controlling shareholder, am aligned with the decision-making process." He goes on to state that Stephanie, Nick, Paul, being Stephanie McMahon, Nick Khan, and Paul Levesque, and the rest of the management team have my full and unconditional support. And as executive chairman, I would support them to facilitate unified, efficient, and effective decision-making during this important period in the company's history. So
that was a fantastic episode, by the way. It just came out Friday. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it or heard it, to go check that out. It's real fun hearing Bischoff talk about the business side of wrestling, and that's why that podcast is a hit. So, as far as Vince McMahon goes, my God, this fucking guy. So he lets it be known. That's probably what he was doing the whole time. He was probably away plotting his comeback, right? He wasn't going to go away quietly. This is Vince McMahon we're talking about. You're not going to take this dog out to the pasture and fucking shoot it behind the house. Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon. He's not some he is old and out of touch and whatever, but he's Vince McMahon old and out of touch. This guy is a fighter to the very end. And we all should have just known that Vince was not going to go away quietly. It's been said by some people, but I think we all kind of hoped that this was just a new era, a fresh start. Vince was gone, out with the old, in with the new. Vince is like, fuck that. God damn it. If it's going to be killed, I'm going to kill it myself. I'm going to inject it with a lethal dose of poison. I'm going to inject it with... It's not there. I didn't write NWO on it. But you get the point. Vince McMahon he spent his time away probably talking with his lawyers, talking with smart legal beagle people. I'm trying to get myself centered back now that I turned around. Plotting his takeover of WWE. He is the majority shareholder of the B stock, and this was pointed out on a number of podcasts. I am certainly not smart, and this is not coming from my own brain. But there's the Class A stock and the Class B stock. And when the company was founded, or when it went public, the Class B stock was reserved for the McMahon family proper only. Stephanie had it, Shane had it, Vince had it, and Linda had it. That's it. I don't even think Kevin Dunn or anybody like that had any. You had a bunch of the Class A stock, which was reserved for the public shareholders. And the Class A stock has very little to none voting power, basically. And the Class B stock has all the power. And that's why it was reserved for the McMahons. Shane sold out of his. I believe Stephanie and Linda and Vince obviously still own all of theirs. And everything else is just out there floating around on the public market. Vince is the controlling shareholder of this company by a wide margin. He's the boss. Nothing can get done without his say-so. So this motherfucker found a loophole. Well, let's back up a little bit. So he sent a letter of intent saying, hey, I would like to come back to oversee these media rights deals as those are coming up, and if a possible sale. Now, we'll address the sale in a different clip because I want to go more in depth on that, more on like the suitor's side and what that could look like. And, you know, I'll do more of a deep dive on the sale itself. So here in this clip, we're just going to kind of casually refer to a sale. But Vince floated out the idea of a sale, which could be strategical. It could be to stir up buzz, and it certainly pumped the stock, which, you know, anytime there's any kind of hint of any kind of sale going on, stock markets are going to react to that, right? So WWE has gone up in the stocks. Vince wants to come back and oversee the new TV deal that's going to be done. And he said he has no intention of pushing in on the management. You know, he has full faith in them. So at least he has no intention to. And Bischoff was smart to point out that was smart wording, that Vince, of course, can change his mind on that. And we all know Vince never changes his mind, though, right? So nothing to worry about there. So apparently, at the very least, he doesn't want to come back and run the company, you know, as far as creative and stuff. He wants to come back and oversee the new business deal for the TV deal, and maybe if it's up for sale. Now, again, we'll address that later, but that could mean either there are talks of selling this at this point. That could mean Vince just wants to sell it because he was pushed out. So if I'm gonna kill it myself, you know. If anybody's gonna, you know, if it's not his anymore, he's not going to go out getting pushed out. He's going to go out making the deal of the century, right? We'll talk about that more. Or, you know, he's just trying to pump up stocks or whatever the case may be, create a little buzz. This could very well just be for the next TV deal, which negotiations are going to start soon. And Vince feels, or at least he's stated in his thing, that I do believe that people are going to want the majority shareholder to be on board with such a deal, and I will not, you know, be on board if I'm not welcome back here. He didn't say that initially. The board, he sent his intention to return very nicely, and the board kind of replied, and they unanimously agreed to say, "Fuck you. We don't think you should come back. There's still pending allegations. There's stuff that the public doesn't even know about yet." And I don't know if it was Bischoff or Alba, or maybe it was somebody else that was talking about it. But there was also a rumor that that could have been strategically thrown out there, that maybe there isn't any other like mystery thing that nobody knows about, and that it's just something to kind of keep Vince away. But they basically said, fuck you, we don't want you back. It's not a good idea. It's not good for the company. It's all bad news. And it is. It's not good. Well, obviously the stock got pumped up over all this, but that's more, I think, because of the sale, not because Vince is coming back. People don't like Vince. He's got a bad reputation. People got sour taste in their mouth about Vince right now. And his scandals aren't done. They're ongoing. This is a continuing issue. This isn't something... It's not like when Flair pulled his dick out on the plane on the dark side of the ring and he was, blacklisted for like a year. He's back now. It takes about a year for exposing your dick and making people touch it. It takes about a year for that kind of stuff to go away, So it hasn't been a year yet for Vince. He's got to wait his year, and then he's okay with being a pervert. That's traditionally how it goes in the wrestling business. So he has not yet been accepted back into the fold. Well, he replied with a letter saying, well, okay, then, well, fuck you. I'm just going to put my balls on the table then, and I'm going to say I'm not going to approve any fucking thing that you guys try to do then unless I'm back on the board. So he's like, all right, well, I mean, if you don't want me back, that's fine. But as the majority shareholder, I will not support any TV, media rights deals, sales, anything you guys try to do. I'm going to shit on it, and I'm going to deny it, and I'm going to decline it, and it's not going to go through, and fuck you. He's holding the company hostage. It's brilliant. It's the most Vince McMahon thing ever. He's a fucking genius. He's a genius. And Eric Bischoff was smart to point out, too, that the Class A and Class B thing is something that not a lot of companies do. He pointed out Ted Turner was pushed out of his own company when he went public. He didn't do the Class A, Class B gimmick, and he was eventually pushed out of his own company. Remember, if you've watched any of the fucking 70s Steve Jobs movies that existed around the time that he died, Steve Jobs was pushed out of Apple. Now, eventually he was welcomed back with open arms, but there was a time there in the 90s where Steve Jobs was pushed right out of the company. And, so it's not uncommon for people to found a company, build it to success, take it public, and then be pushed out by a bunch of fucking suits. And Vince was not going to let that happen. So Vince was smart in how he structured his deal. He retained all control. There's not a single soul on the planet that can hold him back. Now, apparently Vince can just remove people from the board because he decided, okay, I am appointing myself to the board. I guess he doesn't need the board's approval. They all unanimously declined his invitation, his request to come back. And he just said, all right, well, fuck you. You're gone, and you're gone. And now I'm going to come back and fill that seat. And I'm going to bring back George Barrios and whatever the other chick's name is, I don't remember at the off the top of my head. But he's bringing back, and those were two people that he fired at the time. Vince fired Michelle Wilson. Is that who it is? Was that her name? And George Barrios. He fired both of them because they did not support the deal to take the WWE network and give it to Peacock. They wanted it to keep it in-house. I don't know. They might have been right on that. I kind of liked the WWE network better than I like Peacock. I think that's pretty, unanimous amongst wrestling fans that we like it that way. Though, how are you enjoying season 14, episode 1 of Survivor Series? Did you see that? Or season 38 or whatever the fuck they're on? I don't know. The way that they list them up in the thing, it's like you don't get it's stupid. Makes it harder to find shit. It sucks. But anyway, so he's bringing them back anyway because apparently they worked with him well. Otherwise, they didn't stand behind him on that deal, so they were gone. But maybe they're loyal to him and more sympathetic to his interests. And so he's kicked 3 people out of their spots, fired them off the board, took their spots, and then 2 other board members quit. One of them was the person leading the charge on the investigation in Vince McMahon. So who knows where that's going to go now. Now, I had a list of the board members, and they all look pretty friendly. Triple H is on there. Stephanie's on there. Now we got Barrios. Nick Khan's on there. It's an interesting situation that's going on, and you got to wonder where like a Nick Khan and a Stephanie McMahon and a Triple H, where they stand. Are they against Vince McMahon? It seems like it, because the board unanimously said, fuck you. Vince fired 3 of those people. He didn't fire Triple H, or well, he can't. And those people have other jobs, and I guess he could remove them from the board still. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a corporate fucking expert, but he removed those 3 so that he could bring himself, Barrios, and Wilson back. So it seems like there's a little bit of a clash going on and a little bit of a fight over the company. And this is fantastic. This kind of stuff gets my dick hard. It really does. Just watching this play out in real time, this hostile takeover by Vince McMahon. He's just pushed himself back onto the board, and he is officially back. He's there, and now he's going to sit on the board of directors, and he's also pushing for the chairman position. Now, I do believe that the board has to appoint him. They have to approve it. And, we still have some possible opposition on the board right now that might say no. Stephanie's the chairman right now. Is she not? Or is her and Nick, are they co-chairs? I know they're co-CEOs, but who's the chairman of the board over there? I believe it's Stephanie. I don't know. Could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. Yell at me. Tell me I'm stupid. I don't care. Blanking on it right now. This is so fascinating. This is the most Vince McMahon thing I've ever seen. He's just going to fight to the bitter end. He's not going to give in. He's not going to give up. He's not going to go away quietly. He's going to take his company and he's going to do whatever the fuck he wants with it. Whatever happens with the WWE, it's going to be because of Vince McMahon, and he's not going to let anything else get in his way. And this is absolutely a hostile takeover of his own company. He could move to take this private again if he wants to. There's a lot of things he could be doing. And I know this has a lot of people scared in the industry again. Now everybody's in WWE's all worried again. Remember, everybody hated WWE and they wanted to go to AEW, and AEW was the big happy place, right? All of a sudden, Vince leaves and Triple H is in charge, and all these whiny bitches in AEW want to go back to WWE now. I want to go back to Papa H now. Vince is gone, and I didn't like Vince, but I like Triple H, so now I want to leave. They're not loyal to Tony Khan or AEW. They didn't care about that shit. They just wanted to get away from Vince. Well, fuck you. Fuck you. Pick a side and stick with it, If you want to be in WWE, stick with WWE and everything that comes with it. If you want to be in AEW, stick with AEW and everything that comes with that. Don't fucking play don't be a fair weather fan. Don't play both sides and try to hop on over to whatever one feels most comfortable at the time. I get it. You want to work for where you're going to be happiest, but all these people that wanted to go back to WWE and don't now, or did go back to WWE and maybe regret it, fuck you. Fuck you. You know what I mean? All of you. Malachi Black, Miro and his fucking flexible hot wife. All of these people, fuck you guys. You know what I mean? Pick a side and go with it. But this is making a lot of people nervous. Tony Khan had a fun little tweet that, of course, people are giving him shit about, just saying, hey, everybody's being really nice to me all of a sudden today around the office in the last 24 hours. Maybe it's some late Christmas cheer. That's funny. Come on. Why are people giving him? People just like to give Tony shit. Fuck you guys. That's funny. It's a funny joke. And I bet people are being extra nice to Tony. I bet those extra vocal people that wanted to leave maybe aren't as vocal anymore, aren't going to be all of a sudden. Or they're going to be a little bit more apprehensive about, they're going to take a wait and see approach, The dust has not settled yet. Vince has not gone away quietly. Now, is he going to come back and take over creative? That's the big thing. Are we going to go back to a bunch of bullshit? It's possible. Vince could, at any point in time, decide that he wants to inject himself back into the creative. He wants to come back. He wants to be the chairman. He wants to oversee any kind of major deals or anything. And what's that going to look like? That means he's just going to take it and tell everybody else what to do. You know, he's going to be the boss of it. Well, what if overseeing a deal also has to do with, I don't know, making a bunch of cuts like happened when Nick Khan took over or, you know, joined up with Vince, became his right-hand man. Maybe they got to make a bunch of cuts to make the you know, the balance sheet look good, right? Like that was the whole rumor when they made all those massive cuts over at WWE, is they were trying to get it ready for a sale. They were prepping for sale. If that's the case and they want to make the balance sheets look good, maybe they will go back in and start chopping some of these fuckers again. And what are they going to do? They're going to go beg to fucking be in AEW again? Fuck you. Fuck you. Go wrestle in Impact. Fuck you. I'd be better if I was Tony Khan at some of those people. You're not going to, I mean, I guess you got to look at it differently, right? You got to take the Vince McMahon approach of, you know, if you can make me money and it's good for business, then it's good for business. But, you know, I'd be like, fuck you guys. You fair weather fans. You don't actually want to be here. You just don't want to be there. You don't want to be here. You just don't want to be there. And there's no better TV options, right? You know, if you still want to be a wrestler on TV and potentially make millions of dollars, it's going to be in AEW or WWE, and that's it. And so those are your only options. It could go into chaos if Vince starts going in, or maybe he sees, you know, I want to change TV around a little bit. I want to get the ratings up, or, you know, he could get a hair up his ass at any point in time, thinking that it would benefit a potential sale or TV deal to whip the creative into shape. So I would not doubt it. I would not put it past him, but I would, I don't think that's his main goal at this point. So we'll see. I think he just wants to, I think he really wants to be part of any major media rights deals that are going to be happening in the near future. And again, he might know of something that we don't know. He might be looking to sell it. There might already be talks to sell it. The WWE might have already been working on selling it. Vince got wind of this, being a shareholder, and was like, no, I'm going to come back in if you're going to do that, and I'm going to oversee it. Or maybe it was just a ploy to boost the stocks up and to kind of rally the troops to get him back on board. And it's really just to oversee the next media rights deal. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it's none of that. Maybe this is just his angle to slip back in. Maybe he doesn't even care about, I just want to make sure that I oversee the media rights, because I think whoever is interested in what is going to want the majority shareholder to be on board. That could just all be a bunch of bullshit, and that could just be his, I'm back in, my foot's in the door, fuck you guys. It could be. Who knows? But Vince is back. He's officially back. He has appointed himself back to the board. So this is not up for debate at this point. This is not they can vote him out still or whatever. He's not the chairman yet, so he's not in control with an iron fist, but he basically is. I mean, if he can just fire people off of the board and replace them all willy-nilly. And there's 2 open spots, so who's to say Vince doesn't fill those spots with some sympathetic people? You know what I mean? Maybe a Bruce Pritchard lands himself on the board. Why not? He's been there long enough. I would love to see Bruce on the board, but you know he'd be sympathetic to Vince, not Hunter. That's probably what Vince is going to do. He's going to fill those 2 spots where the 2 people quit. And those are anti-Vince people, obviously, because they quit. And one of them was investigating Vince. So clearly they weren't going to go along with anything Vince wanted. But now if he is allowed to fill these spots, which he clearly is, he's going to fill them with people that are going to be in his favor. So that when he looks to put pressure on the board to elect him the chairman, Stephanie and Nick Khan and Triple H are going to be maybe the only 3 people that could deny him, that would push back against that. It was a unanimous decision from the board to not welcome him back, and he came back anyway. So if it was unanimous, that means Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H all voted to not let Vince come back. So there's some hostile shit going on there. I don't think Vince is going to kick them out, but are they going to be on board with voting him in as chairman? Are they going to be on board with having him back and are they going to fight him tooth and claw to push him out of the way as much as they can and keep him as just a board member? But clearly he owns so much of the company that he can damn near do what he wants. So it's going to be interesting to see, and this is going to be an ongoing story. Of course, scandals are going to continue to come out. I have no doubt about that. But this is going to be a fun one to follow. I'm going to leave it there because I know this has been long-winded and I got other stuff I want to get to. It's probably going to be a long show if you're watching the full podcast. But do check out the next clip because now I'm going to dive into more of the sale aspect of this. And I'm kind of excited to talk about this too because this is the kind of stuff that gets my dick hard. Like I said, no blue chew necessary. Just give me some juicy business shit that I can sink my teeth into. I think it's fun. I don't know. I read the Hollywood dirt sheets too. You know, I like the insider stuff on this kind of thing. So, all that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.